What's up, guys? Have you heard that the real estate agent commission structure is changing? Well, the truth is that's only a partial truth. It really depends. And if we really want to dive into this, I want to come to you with all of the knowledge, and I now have that. So we're going to talk about how this is actually going to affect you as a consumer, buyer, seller when the rubber meets the road. And I can't wait to dive in. As you guys know, my name's Jeremy Kane. I'm with eXp Realty, as well as living in the Denver suburbs on YouTube. And I can't wait to have this conversation with you. There is opportunity for you as both buyer and seller to really step back and think about this. And in my opinion, there's a huge opportunity for strategy when we really break this down. So if you like what you hear, this is going to be a little more strategic, a little more current. We do a ton of stuff on this channel, on these social media platforms. So please like, comment, subscribe, friend me, follow, do all the things. And of course, if you or anyone you know is looking to buy or sell real estate anywhere across the country, I'm a part of a major network of agents, and I can be a part of that process. So I would be so grateful for that. But we can talk about that. DM me, book a call with me, whatever you got to do to get in touch. So let's kind of set the tone. Let's give you a quick rundown. We don't need to talk about the details. There was a lawsuit brought against basically listing agent commissions, basically saying that listing agents were not being transparent and that sellers were being forced or unfairly told that they need to pay buyer's agent commissions. This was evidenced by it being required to compensate something to the buyer's agent in the MLSs that we belong to, and so on. So they went back and forth. There's court cases, some thrown out all the way. Well, one court case got all the way through, and the judge made a decision that and ruled in favor of the plaintiffs, which in this case were the sellers. And so what this did was kind of jolt the real estate industry. How we are compensated must be more transparent in the eyes of the Department of Justice and the judges. And so now we have the National Association of Realtors providing a mass settlement, putting in new rules, pulling compensation verbiage off of the MLSs. And it's kind of all coming to fruition this week. Now, the court case and the settlements and all of the agreements have not even actually been agreed upon, but our National Association of Realtors went ahead and said, these are the changes that we need to make per our settlement. So they're moving forward and doing this. So that's kind of the basics of it. Ultimately, what the lawsuit seeks is that buyers and sellers have more of a transparent picture of how their representation, their agents are getting compensated. And so here we are. Now is the time, and there's headlines out there. There's everything that says, oh, the 6% commission, is gone, and all of the things. The truth is that commissions were and always have been negotiable. Now there is, certain ideas out there of you should offer, you shouldn't offer, all the things. I'm going to break down what it actually means to you, and we hopefully can decide what you want to do if you're selling a home. And there's also, opportunity, and it's important to note that the DOJ thinks that the buyer should also have a say in what their agent gets paid, and ultimately could be responsible for that. So we're going to kind of dive in, and there's so many headlines out there, and I just want you to know, especially in the state of Colorado, not that much is changing. Our contracts have been kind of ahead of the game. We've always had certain sections of our exclusive right to buy contract that was required to be in the file that explains how the compensation is going to be paid or possibly paid. And then in the listing agreement, it always said, okay, this is what the compensation was total for the sale, and this is what will be offered to a cooperating broker. So that's a little bit different now, but ultimately those parts of our contract are still there. The only difference is that now it shows up in the contract to buy and sell as of right now. Today, tomorrow, we'll have those available to us. And so it is technically going to be negotiated at time of contract, which will allow for further transparency for the buyer and the seller. So what's this all mean? Jeremy, just give me the goods. Tell me what's really going on, and we're going to get to it. So the traditional commission setup, like I said before, was this was what it costs to sell your house. And the listing agent would share a portion of that with a cooperating broker. Technically, the brokerage was offering that to a compensated, to a cooperating brokerage, and then that brokerage would pay that agent. So that's a little bit different. The only binding piece and the only thing that we had that said how much we would get paid as a buyer's agent was the MLS. Now that's changing. No compensation can be discussed in the MLS. So that's one of the things that the settlement put forth. So now, as a buyer, you will be asked to sign an agreement prior to touring properties, prior to doing a lot of things, that says, hey, this is what I charge as your buyer's agent. This is the value I provide, all the things. And you'll have to sign that agreement sometime early on in the relationship. In Colorado, the state says the buyer isn't required to sign it, but our MLS requires us to, and the Realtor Board requires us to. And so it needs to be signed early on in the process regardless. So having it signed up front is probably, best practice for agents. Then we will go out and find a home, not knowing, because it's no longer advertised in our database, what the seller is willing to pay. And so as we kind of work through that, we have to understand that as a buyer's agent, we have the agreement, basically the contract that says, but hold on, what if the client doesn't have the money to pay all the things? At the end of the day, Colorado's put that into the contract. The only stipulation, if that differs from the buyer's contract with the agent, is that the agent can't take more of a compensation that's agreed on in the buyer's contract. So we take it forward, we put it in the offer, and it's negotiated between buyer and seller. And, depending on how that shakes out, the seller can pay the broker, your agent, as has traditionally happened by way of cooperating broker agreements. There could be some restructuring in the financial piece. You can't, necessarily finance or build a buyer's agent commission into the loan at this point. But there's different ways. You could put less down. You could, get concessions. You can do a lot of things with the financing piece, especially if there's a loan involved. And then obviously at that point, the buyer would be obligated to pay. The rule is that the buyer's agent can take less. They just can't take more. So maybe that's a negotiation piece. So how are we going to handle this? How am I going to handle this? Ultimately, I'm going to provide value. We're going to build that relationship. I'm going to provide you so much value before we even write the offer that you'll understand, okay, this is in my best interest to have, Jeremy representing me. And then we're going to have a conversation with that. We're going to get that in writing. We're going to say, this is kind of what my compensation is. This is what I charge for my services. And we're going to sign that contract. And the truth is that we will take that contract, and I'm not going to ask any questions, right? I'm going to say, okay, let's go find you a house. And once we find you a house, then we're going to take that agreement. We're going to say, okay, this is what, you're obligated to pay me. So I'm going to try and get the seller to pay it off the bat. What do you want to offer? We'll include that into it. You'll say it right there in 29.1 in the contract, and then we'll negotiate it. And the truth be told, as I've said, for 10 years, right? I've checked this box that is now, pretty much the only box you can check on the exclusive right to buy. I've checked this box every single time for over 300 buyers. And I've said this every time. In the event that the seller is not willing to pay compensation, there's no room for the lender to help out, and you do not have the means to do it, I certainly am not going to stand in the way of you getting into this home, the one. And that's will be our agreement. And We'll put it into the contract because it's in your best interest that the seller pays it, because then you don't have to pay it. And then we'll negotiate from there. And the truth is that sometimes it'll just be signed, sealed, delivered. Seller's going to say, that's my best offer. I'm going to present it in a way that says, hey, this is the net to the seller, right? If the math is hard, I'll present it that way so that everybody knows. And then we'll work through it. I will partner with lenders that can get creative in the event the seller says, absolutely not, we're not doing that, because I do like to get paid. I have kids at home. That's how I pay my bills. So we'll work through that. But at the end of the day, if it's like, okay, no way, can't do it on the seller won't do it, lender can't do it, no room, then we can have an honest conversation, and I can say, okay, here's the deal. There's so many ways that you can compensate me that are not financial, right? And if it means you getting into this house, I'm gonna represent you, I'm gonna take care of you. And at the end of the day, send me a couple referrals, right? If you ever need anything around the house, let me connect you with some of my professionals, because they also support my business. So there's opportunities for, other ways of compensation, than financial. So, and I'm not saying like illegal stuff or anything like that. So that's on the buyer side. Now, what that means as a buyer is that it's not going to be this he said, she said. It's not going to say, okay, well, my agreement says X, but they're only offering this. So are you willing to pay that if you want to see that? No, we're going to go see every house that's within your wheelhouse, and we're going to get you into the home, because that's my job. My goal is to help you build wealth through real estate. And I like to get compensated for that. But at the end of the day, that's, I don't work for free, but I'm not going to say, oh, well, that's, I need to get an extra 0.5%, or this absolutely isn't going to happen. We will work together. Next, on the seller side, as a listing agent, I'm going to have the same conversation. I'm going to explain what's going on. I'm going to explain the lawsuit, and then we're going to have an honest conversation. And the truth is that if you want to, be old school and say, this is what I want to pay, or you want to pay a little less, or whatever, I'm going to tell you why I think a buyer's agent on the other side is going to benefit you more than it's going to harm you. And we're going to have that conversation. Now, my strategy and my suggestion moving forward to sellers will be, let's not make a decision at this point in time when we're 2 weeks away from listing your house and we have no idea what, the market's going to bring us. Let's just have an honest conversation. This is kind of what I've seen in average. I've called these comps. This is kind of the average commission that was paid for by the seller, compensation, sorry, not commission, that is paid for by the seller to the buyer's agent. So expect something in this, in this range. And we will have agents that, feel like they need to win the bid, and they'll go a little lower, or they'll work for a little less, right? You always get what you pay for. So if that happens, then at the end of the day, me and the seller are going to have an agreement. Hey, this is what I charge. This is what my compensation is to be your listing agent. These are the services provided. This is how I will market and sell your property, so on. Then I'll say, let's not have an agreement on the buyer's agency. I just ask that, if I am asked the question of, are we offering buyer's agent commission? I will say, we've had a conversation. We are, in agreement. However, we do not have a number, so put it in the offer. Just as I would say, you want the hot tub, put it in the offer. It's a bad example because we try and keep those out. But if you want you want to try and offer less than list price, put it in the offer. We're not going to negotiate it right here, because at the end of the day, what's in that offer is what carries forward and what we're going to work off of anyways. So by doing that, I haven't eliminated any buyers up front, because I'm offering less than, their buyer agency. I don't know what's in their buyer agency, so I can't guess. As well, I've given an opportunity for those buyers agents, especially when the market gets aggressive, to maybe cut some and save some money for my seller. And here's the deal. Like, agents are like, oh, I'm offering this. At the end of the day, it's not our money, right? The money comes off the seller's bottom dollar, and it actually comes from the buyer, but we're beyond that. So here we are. So this is all new, and it's going to be hard. However, if you have an agent that says, if you're going to work with me, we have to offer X as a buyer's agent commission. This is exactly why we're in this place. So why not go to the board, go all the way and just say, hey, it's 100% negotiable. We'll talk about it. Expect something between X and Y because these are the calls I made and this is what was paid, right? But let's not write home about it. Let's not put a maximum or a minimum, right? If somebody comes with a crazy high offer, we're going to look at that net and be like, hey, is this net still good to you? Even with that commission? Okay, let's go, right? Because at the end of the day, it's about moving forward. If there's a seller that wants to sell, a buyer that wants to buy, we can put the transaction together. And as agents, it's just about having these conversations. And, I think that one of the best things that I do for my clients is be a negotiator. And if I can't negotiate my livelihood and my compensation with you as my client or with the other side, the cooperating side, then, what's it worth? And we'll run into the people that are like, absolutely not. I don't have to pay that commission anymore. I read the CNN article. I'm not doing it as a seller. That's fine. But let's see what it really means when there's no offers on the table and this offer comes in with X compensation, but you have an offer, right? And when it goes multiple offers, we're going to have to get creative. But we were creative when you came to me and said, hey, I want to buy a house. I don't have any cash. I'm going to do down payment assistance. And I said, okay, there's a ton of bidding wars going on and we need to raise as much capital as we possibly can to have an appraisal gap so that we can get it accepted, right? So it's going to be very similar to that. The only difference is it's 100% negotiable across the board. And as buyer's agents, we can have the conversation and go from there. And so that's my process. That's what I'm going to do. And that's what I'm dedicated to help my clients understand and get through the process and ultimately get you into homes and then be a resource, right? I'm going to be a resource when you use me as a buyer's agent. I'm going to be a resource from day one through day infinity. And so the relationship is much more than 0.5% or 0.2% of a commission to me. And that's how we're going to operate and that's how we're going to work. And so I will know all the rules. I'll know all the guidelines. I'll know all the trends and we will have that conversation. So I hope this helps kind of, put you at ease or explain a little better about the real estate industry completely changing off the cuff because ultimately we're here for it. And as agents, as your agent, I want to be as transparent as possible and I want to help you get to the finish line. So if you have any questions about this or, you're like, hey, that sounds like a really good strategy. Let's talk. I'm here for you. Crushing deals, going on listing appointments and ready to be your agent. So like, comment, subscribe, send me a DM. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you're hearing and let's get it. We'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.